What's up, everybody? James Duggan here with IGN Access, joined by Jose Otero.
Hello.
You guys had questions about the Nintendo conference when we put out a tweet, so I'm going to read them. Wants to know, Zelda? What do you think?
Is that really his name?
That's really his Twitter handle.
Okay,
so
well, I can tell you a lot about Zelda. First of all, just because it's the only game Nintendo brought to the show floor. So they've made it very clear for the last couple months now. A couple things. One is that is a fact, that it will be the only game there, but also that Zelda is now a project on Wii U and NX, the code name for their next device. It's a big deal because we're going to get this game eventually on their next platform rather than see it sort of show up just on Wii U to a much smaller audience. I mean, you know, it's no secret, the console did not turn out the way Nintendo hoped it would. And in the interim, it says two things about Nintendo right now. One is that this is all we have to show, which is unfortunate on one front as something big and exciting, but then the other thing is just they must be very confident in this game. I mean, the demos that that we're at least hoping from this thing, if it's the only game on the show floor, that's got to be a meaty demo and something that's serious. So I'm very excited to get my hands on that thing. The only thing we know about it is that it is an open world game, and we haven't seen Zelda really do that since the first Zelda, but it's also a reaction to Skyward Sword, which was the last Zelda on Wii, last big title Zelda anyway on a big Nintendo platform. And it was very linear, so to see it sort of approach this open world with a twist, which Aonuma is promising, the series director, I'm on there. I want to see that.
Right. Well, you mentioned a console, so now I have to mention a console. We have a tweet from Marty1 Kenobi. Hope they surprise everyone with NX news. Now, we know that probably won't happen.
Oh, they've made it clear,
But what do you think a best case scenario is in terms of just talking about the NX? Do you think they go the entire conference without saying a word about it?
No, I mean they'll acknowledge it exists because it would be silly to not. Like, everyone knows this thing exists for the past year. They have mysteriously been hinting and whatnot. I mean, if they really wanted to blow the doors off, and I know this is going to sound completely ridiculous, but bear with me. If they just said NX reveal and a date, if they just dropped that in the middle of all this, I think a lot of people would lose their minds over it. Just because, okay, finally, we have a concrete date for details. What is this thing? What am I getting? And presumably, I mean, they're saying later this year they're going to talk about it. That would really turn some heads at E3, just for them to say we're gonna give you that at least now.
That's such a be sure to drink your Ovaltine thing for me.
It is. No, I'm not. That's why I told you, bear with me, man. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about Pokemon. There's a couple of Pokemon games coming down the line, and Rafael Gonzalez wants to know about a Pokemon game for consoles. We do know about Sun and Moon. I'm not so sure what he means by consoles. But.
Yeah, so Pokemon Sun and Moon is the next generation of Pokemon. It's on 3DS. This is a big deal because 3DS has a pretty good install base. The last new Pokemon game in X and Y sold in excess of like 13 million. People show up for Pokemon games. Like, that's just how it works. And so there have been a couple of sort of news details leading up to this moment, but now at E3 it's either going to be some gameplay reveal or just a new feature that they're willing to talk about now. But it's cool to see that game getting spotlight at E3. And then the other game that is on there is Pokemon Go.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is huge because this is Pokemon's transition to mobile, which is the biggest platform. So smartphones, tablets, the biggest platform for it. Pokemon Go seems to be a weird hybrid of sorts because it's not really Pokemon the way you know it on 3DS, but it's also still using the same monsters and some of the same rules, and it's trying to be a sort of the same but different.
All right, well, let's move on to talk about some games that haven't been confirmed to be there, but one of them is Monster Hunter Generations for the 3DS.
Oh no, well actually they have confirmed it'll be there. So big thing, yeah, whoa.
Put a black bar over my mouth and censor me because I just misspoke.
No, continue. That's okay, because I think going into it, Nintendo set the bar so low that anything that they said afterwards feels like a meal. So there's plenty of games coming out over the summer, at least not plentiful in the sense of what like Microsoft and Sony are pulling, but more like Monster Hunter Generations, which is sort of a 10-year celebration of that franchise, which is awesome. You got Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which is sort of this weird mashup RPG between the Shin Megami Tensei universe and the Fire Emblem universe, so that's cool. Atlas made that. You've got
Metroid Prime Federation Force. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's.
Because unlike everybody else on the internet, I'm actually quite excited for that.
Yeah, and it's weird because that and Paper Mario Color Splash were met with some really, really heavy cynicism or skepticism because at face value, they don't appear to be the games that fans remembered them to be. That is coming out in August as well, at least in Federation Force. In Paper Mario Color Splash, which is another hot topic, I think, for Nintendo, the big question for me is that your holiday game or not? Like, when does that game come out? Or does Nintendo sort of pull a surprise and say, hey, here's this game that you didn't know about that's coming out in November alongside when we launch Pokemon?
Well, Nintendo, very nebulous and as always mysterious. Jose, thank you so much for your insight. And if you, the audience, have any questions that weren't answered about E3, make sure to tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGN Access, and we'll do our very best to answer them For all things Nintendo, you're already in the right place at IGN.